Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. I'm Community Manager Pat, and I'm joined once again by Creative Director Jin Sang. How you guys?
Hello.
The first change that we made is fast animations. So, as people were playing through the game, this footage it's not sped up footage, right? It's sped up gameplay, yeah?
A lot of people was talking about the tempo of the battle. It's great to see all those animations and cutscene. The battle is pretty long, so they want to have animation sped up. This is the first feature we're gonna add, right? We're gonna have a 2 or 4 times faster than normal speed. We're gonna have another feature. The enemies will move like it's gonna fresh out and come back, and all enemies are moved in.
Okay. So it's like an
Yeah.
instantaneous enemy action turn.
Something like that. Yeah.
Increased speed with a couple of
Mhm.
settings, and then an option as well where the enemy can take their turn really quickly and players can get right back into it. So for the people who are
That's
just trying to
right.
take their turns really quickly, they can do that. This is great for the people who really just want to, without thinking about anything else, without visuals, just play the game. So the next thing, this footage shows a little bit when you're kind of highlighting an enemy or approaching an enemy or trying to select an enemy that was previously behind some sort of terrain and was very difficult to see. Now it seems to hide part of that terrain, so it's for better visual clarity, right?
Some of people were having trouble identifying the enemy or our own characters, which were below the gate.
Yep.
Actually had a plan to do this as well, but then as soon as we got the feedback, see, this is something important, so we had to add.
Right. So this is great. People won't have as much trouble targeting things along the way. The next one, the death animation. Previously, when enemies died, they liquefied it into a puddle and kind of sunk into the ground. But now they have like a proper death animation. This applies to allies as well, right? It's not
Yeah,
just...
that's right. Everyone. Yeah.
I saw while I was looking over through some of the feedback that your team over there, they were interested in the idea of the whole death quotes thing, right? Like when someone when one of your important allies dies, they don't just go away. They say something very appropriate for the moment.
It's a good way to show how, the characteristic of the characters. So we love to add those features. Yeah.
So the next thing is new costumes. So previously, the individual units that people played with, they all kind of had very samey looking outfits, very samey looking armor. But a few of our characters here, like Eden Star in the center, they have a much more unique look to them.
At the first, they were wearing all the same costumes.
Right.
And we also had a lot of feedback where during the battle, the Imperial enemy soldiers look all alike.
And bald.
So
very bald.
Yeah, and bald.
Yep.
We are working on it. So we're gonna have a lot of new faces for the enemies too.
There's two things that we want to show off here. The first, of course, is the look of the camp at night. You got campfires all over the place with people kind of hanging out by them, talking, and the like. And this was really cool, but when that right there, when the map was opened, that was a fast travel, right?
That's the fast traveling. He went right in front of the Francisco.
So is that the approach that we're going to be going with for the fast travel in general? If players want to get directly to an NPC quickly, skip the part where you travel and you just show up there?
Yeah, good question. That was the original idea we had, that feature, but then we have a lot of NPCs in the camp. Too much. So we're gonna have the area based. So if you click on the one area, like a training camp, you will be able to fast travel to the training camp, and you can pretty much go to any NPC you like to go fast enough.
There were many people who provided feedback that they felt like there wasn't enough of a compelling reason to explore the camp. What were your thoughts on that?
There will be some of them, not the loot, but the informations or hidden stories or background stories. So you will be able to explore the camp, looking for those kind of information.
So the camp section, let's just talk about that for a second, because the camp section did score the lowest. People liked the combat, but when it came to the camp section, there were parts of it that people were not so keen on. But I do want to touch on two subjects in the camp. The first concept was spending time with your allies. The conversations, they seemed a little dull. A lot of people giving kind of samey answers, and it didn't feel very fleshed out.
There will be better contents and more like details. A lot of people told us about like size of the camp being too big, right? And it won't be big from the beginning. It will be like much smaller than the demo, the main character of the game. The camp will also grow up, like become a bigger size.
What you're saying is, when you start from episode 1 and you gain access to these sections of the camp piecemeal, you'll have a much better bearing of your surroundings, where everything is, because you'll know what each section is one by one as it gets introduced.
There won't even be a camp during the, episode 1 and 2 and 3.
Right, of course, because those are the tutorial, those are prologue, basically. So the second subject I wanted to touch upon were the side quests. This is a very, very touchy piece of feedback from our players, but our players really, they described the side quests as MMO side quests. And I think we all know what that means. It means it's like a side quest, kill 6 wolves and come back with their pelts or something like that. Something just so inconsequential. And I know when I joined on board of this project, when we were talking about side quests and story in general, when I was thinking of a side quest, I was thinking, hey, I played through The Witcher, and you find a random side quest, and that side quest, it goes, and then all of a sudden it has this very expansive bit of lore that you wouldn't have expected. It kind of delves into a more rich story that you would have never known if you never took the side quests. So I think people want to see more meaningful side quests that relate to someone's story in some way, shape, or form without feeling like a chore or a task. So do you think that we will end up working on more meaningful side quests?
Well, I definitely want to improve those. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna have replace the kind of quest, but then maybe more relevant to stories like Francisco saying, "Hey, Captain, I lost your what I borrowed from you," and as the book of the mercenary, and you go and find it, and you probably can read the book, and then it tells you how Eden is living as a mercenary.
Even that is great.
We are trying to improve in certain ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's already a huge step in the right direction. I did say 2 things, but I do want to bring up one more thing, because there's a few people that asked about it, and I definitely want to cover it. The QTE during training.
Okay.
There would be a tutorial prior to that point that would tell you how training works and to expect it. But players want to know, what are your thoughts about having this system?
My original idea was to add the QTE action. We may have an option to duel with the enemy captain.
Oh, that's cool.
We're gonna have a little, menu. If you duel, I suggest that we, duel each other and end this, combat, and then, oh, I reject that. Then we don't do the duel, but then I agree, let's do it, and then we're gonna have a duel. But when you do the duel thing, we can maybe add the QT action
Yeah,
as
that's a
well.
cool idea. It's like everyone stand aside. I'll take care of this myself. And then
Yeah.
they draw us to the duel. Yeah, that's cool. That would be great. That would be a good
So
way to tie in a
that's
mechanic.
that's one feature that is that was original idea for the QTE as well. So there was a more than like just QTE feedback from the community. Training itself was too long. We're gonna have it really short, so you don't have to look at the all those fighting actions.
It's a very
So
unique idea, and I think
mhm,
there's a lot of potential there. It's really cool to think about it because
mhm.
training, you're training and you're sparring, but hey, maybe for the player, it's an opportunity to train at this QTE minigame so that when they have to do it like in real combat, they'll have practiced it in the camp. So it's like it's like a double meaning kind of thing with the training. It's really neat. So hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed for that kind of feature. It sounds really cool to me.
That dual thing is my wish list. So
Yes,
this
that's
isn't
that's that's,
like
that's on
currently
my wish list
planned.
now too. And this is a really cool one. So one of the first beasts. So this is the Hellhound. And this is intimidating. This looks like it's from a horror game. This doesn't look like it's from a fantasy game. This is something you'd see
Really?
in Resident Evil.
We had this settings became monsters. It got somehow affected by the magical power force. So it became like this, and it got huge and kind of defected.
Yeah, I mean this is a mutant puffer if I've ever seen one, and it's really cool because there were a lot of people that were curious on how Los Eidolons would handle a unit that takes up multiple cells. This giant rabid hellhound, it's a four cell enemy.
2 by 2, yeah.
Yep. Now, are there any advantages to attacking a specific cell of it, or is it all part of the same enemy?
If you look at the tile right now, there is the spear tile right there and the axe tile right there. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look much closer, you can see it. Yeah.
So yeah, those tiles are the if you attack with the spear, you're gonna have an extra damage. There is a weak point.
Depending on the weapon you're using.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple types of monsters that you can deal with. And I'm guessing there will be some scenarios where you might have to deal with it.
This is only the I think the weakest monster we're gonna have.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a 3 by 3 monsters really huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious on like how the map handles some of these, because some of the maps they feel like they would be. What if there's two buildings near each other and it's just like there's one tile in between them? Are these enemies too large to travel through them? Stuff like that.
We're not gonna have buildings around once we have like that 3 by 3 animals, the
Right.
monsters.
It's very cool. I hope that we can see a lot of potential lore tie-ins. Before we move on, we have an update from Clark, the composer who's handling a lot of the music for the game. Clark will be working with a live orchestra to get live instruments so that we get that perfect, crisp sound for every single one of these situations. So today, we'll be sharing with you guys music from episode 4, from the Camp and the Battle. And checking out the episode 4 combat music as well. Now, regarding Town Hall, we have a few questions. Our first question by 02 in the Discord was that in regards to the enemy, would they potentially use any sort of mount that isn't a horse?
Well, I've got a lot of question on this mount, but for the Lost Eidolons, for now, there'll only be horses for now.
Not right now. Potential for the future, maybe in another game. Now the next question, also from Discord, Argonaut asks, will there be any voiceover in the camp conversations?
So the main cutscene, main stories will have the all the voiceovers, and then during the camp there is also some main stories that you will have to go through during the camp. Those will have the voiceover definitely.
It's too much to voice everything, but anything that can be construed as an important conversation will most likely get voice acting. Next question from Paradigm Shift. Will there be some sort of grinding level? Maybe something akin to the arena or the Tower of Valny from Fire Emblem.
Not exactly like the Fire Emblem, where it is specifically designed for grinding level.
Yep.
But we're gonna have some levels where you can do extra optionally so that you can grind the level.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good for people who want to take things a bit more casually. There were quite some people who found the game during the alpha, maybe it was a little bit on the difficult side, and they'd like to get a little bit stronger before proceeding through with the episodes. So, Sue from Discord asks, I know DLC has been touched on in the past, just wants to know if DLC characters or the potential for further units being added and recruitable were being considered. So
I haven't really thought about the DLC.
it's really far.
Then,
yeah,
it's really far. But then maybe I should start thinking about it.
So the last question from Discord from D, do you have any plans to add secret characters that can only be recruited under specific conditions?
I really love to. For me right now is just I'm so focused on creating the game first.
Thank you for hanging out. We'll see you guys on the next live stream and on the Discord and Twitter and everything. Yeah, have a great, amazing rest of your days. We'll see you on the next one.
See you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.